Inspired by the chilling possibilities explored in Fringe, this episode asks, what if the thoughts you're thinking right now aren't actually yours? We're diving deep into the unnerving idea that thought control isn't science fiction. It's already happening. From hidden technologies influencing your choices to artificial memories quietly seeded into the collective, something or someone is reshaping the way humanity thinks. Who's behind it? What are they hiding? And what untouched part of our mind might be the key to breaking free? With tarot as our guide, we're peeling back the layers to reveal the truth they don't want us to remember. Hello, everybody. Welcome back, and welcome if this is your first time to this channel. We are going to hop right in and start with question 1 for this Fringe-inspired episode 6. So the question is, who or what is most invested in the control of human thought? So we're going to start with Oracle, as we always do, because Oracle does not read my mind. In fact, Oracle doesn't care what I think. Then we'll follow up with Tarot to see what extra details we can get. Tarot does read my mind, so we will see what happens. All right, so the first card here is the Truman Show. So we are basically looking for the hidden hand behind the curtain. Whether this is big tech, corporate, government, or even non-human. In other words, otherworldly. Even AI, maybe. Okay, then we have Little Willie. Truman Show there, that first card really kind of hits it, doesn't it? If you've ever seen that movie. If you haven't, great movie to watch. Divine Timing. And the last card before we start reading. Okay, in Old Arizona. Okay, so the question again is, who or what is most invested in the control of human thought? First card out here is the Truman Show. And in this movie, he is being watched 24/7. Every part of his life is being watched by the world. It's kind of creepy. Gotta say, it's kind of creepy. And those that are watching him, whenever I see something like this, because it is a television and our computers and our phones and our televisions, it has been said, so this is alleged, actually have spyware on them so we can be watched at any time. So I'm going to say it is our, do I want to say government or just humans on this earth? Those in power, we'll just say those that believe they're in power, are the ones who are most invested in the control of human thought. What they don't like to see is that a lot of us are healing issues that that they would like to use against us. And because of the age of Aquarius and because of ascension, working with our shadow selves, that kind of thing, a lot of things are being released, like regrets. A lot of things we aren't defensive about anymore because we've released those things. So this is not something that they think is a good thing. It is for humanity, but it's not for these guys. And then divine timing. There is a divine plan to all of this. I have no doubt that there's a divine plan to all of this. And perhaps part of it is, pushing us to do the healing. Perhaps. When we go to in old Arizona, this is one of those where it says here, you hear what you see. And a lot of times what we hear is what we actually see. Even though what may be on the screen, if somebody says, I hear a lot of geese squawking, your mind is going to say, you see geese on the screen, when in fact, perhaps there's this sleeping guy on the screen. So we hear what we see. It's a very sneaky way of, well, it's like a subliminal messaging in a way. So we know that the hand is our government, allegedly. So next we have Lean on Me, Over the Top, and Demolition Man. It is one of those things where they want to make sure that we are totally dependent upon them. So this Lean on Me really is a lot stronger than what the actual song means. The song itself is about mutual support. That is not what it is here. They want to make sure that we are totally dependent upon them. And so often they take it over the top. They talk about the same thing over and over and over again, like trying to pound it into our minds to control our brains. And they are using terror tactics, trying to make us afraid at every turn. There's this recall for food, and there's this sickness out there, and there's this murderer out there, and they just keep piling on that kind of thing, because that's how they can get control of our thoughts. If they can keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, which is how they take it over the top, we're going to be dependent upon them when the time comes. And unfortunately, we've seen it happen. We really have seen it happen. So, I'm not going into it, but it was a 2020 issue, I believe. Allegedly. Okay, so let's see what tarot has to say. Just see what details we can add. All right, so we have the Empress. Yeah, they create a lot of things. The investment is to control our thought. So to them, it's well worth whatever they're putting into it. That is the creation of this whole thing. It's the plan that they have. And then we have the Nine of Wands. So yeah, sometimes we have our back up against the wall, and it is time at that point. The energy that is required, the passion that's required, is to find another way to handle something, another way to deal. And if we are being triggered by certain things, we need to look into why those things are causing such a reaction in us. And that's what all this healing is about. All this release is about. That's what they do not like. Then we have the Queen of Wands. Divine timing is a fiery energy. I wouldn't want to go up against it. No, I wouldn't. But divine timing is based on care of the human race. Things are done in a specific way for the best for us. May not seem like that sometimes, but that's what's attempted. Then we have the Queen of Swords. This is the truth. She's sharing here the truth that we're being fooled by subliminal messaging, allegedly, which is supposed to not exist anymore. It was made against the law ages ago. That's never really mattered, right? So, Queen of Cups. Yeah, this is, they want us to love them. They want us to believe that they are the ones who can take care of us, nurture our every need, and so forth. And in fact, it is all talk. It is all unreal. And we have the Six of Swords. They want us to believe that, or give us what they call peace of mind. If you do this, you'll have peace of mind. If you get taken care of during every flu season, you'll have peace of mind. They want, and they'll repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. It's always over the top, always. And Five of Swords. Chaotic thinking. Anything that they can do to make us feel like our world is falling apart or something bad is going to happen to us if we don't listen to what they have to say, if we don't follow through with what they have to say. If they're telling us that we need to take care of ourselves in flu season with a specific remedy, then they expect us to follow that. And if we don't, they just keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it over the top, because then eventually we start believing that. You hear it enough, that's what you see. All right, so let us pick up these tarot cards and move on to the second question. So I'm going to say that who or what is most invested? It's our government, allegedly, or those in power, okay? Because there's a lot of different governments in different countries. So those who are in power, those who have money. And for those that are new to my channel, if you see me going a little slowly with putting things away, yes, I do, because I want to make sure that my cards are all mixed. That way, if we get any doubles, any repeat cards, we know it's not because I didn't shuffle well. Whoa, it's going away. All right, so get these put in and we'll move on to question 2. All right, question 2. Have artificial thoughts or memories already been seeded into the collective, or planted, seeded, planted? In other words, if we look at like our history, is what we've been told, what's been planted in our minds. Is it implanted? Is it altered? Is it fabricated? Do we know if it's real or if it's not? So we have signs. We have lean on me again. We have signs again. Wow. And circle of life. Okay, so question again, have artificial thoughts or memories already been seeded into the collective? There are signs that this is the case. Definitely signs this is the case, because there are many people who really do fall for what they're being told and shown. They fall for it hook, line, and sinker. And when we have double signs here, and it's getting faster, the signs are getting more frequent, and yeah, it is getting faster. There are also those who, because of all this, are trying very hard to get back to the basics Maybe they are called survivalists. Maybe they are called preppers. It doesn't really matter what it is. They're trying to get back to it because their eyes are open. They're seeing what's happening. So let's see what more there is here. We have Robin Hood, For Love of the Game, and Little Willie again. So with Robin Hood, this is the Prince of Thieves. At least that's what the movie is called, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And I'm going to, the show itself, the Robin Hood is actually steal from the rich, give to the poor. I'm going to go the other direction with this card this time because pretty much everything that we are shown that is good ends up being just the opposite. So if we see somebody who is, oh, it looks like they're doing such an amazing job, we'll find out that that person actually took money from charities and used it for flying to Jamaica. Okay, just nothing is as it seems. So we're being asked, and I love this card for Love of the Game because to really, like these preppers, the game is perfect for them. Everything that's going on is perfect for them because it gets them back to the basics. And this card about For Love of the Game, it's clear the mechanism. That is what Kevin Costner does in that movie when he's on the pitcher's plate. Clear the mechanism so he doesn't hear or see anything going on. It's all just silent. He doesn't hear the crowd anymore. He can focus. And this focus is definitely necessary. Clear the mechanism because the last place you want to be is here. This is the better place to be. It's where you're not being controlled. Your thoughts are not being controlled. And also, when you focus in that way, the healing that makes this difficult for those in power works faster. Now, this was a little extra here with what's been given with the cards. Have artificial thoughts or memories already been seeded into the collective? Oh yeah. Think about Signs and what the movie is about. It's evil aliens, alien invasion, okay? We've had it seeded into our minds that that's a possibility, that we are going to be invaded. We've had it seeded into our minds that our government or those in power have our best interest in mind. And, you know, if we do everything they tell us, we're going to be safe, we're going to be healthy, we're going to be, yes, all that's been seeded in there. This is showing meteors. Do they talk about meteor showers and possibility of, you know, we have this huge meteor only so far from Earth this week. It'll pass, you know, Earth by this much. They do that too, yes. Do they tell us that those things that our ancestors lived with, their own fresh food, the drinking rainwater, living off the land, all the things, and having their own healing methods, do they tell us that that's not factual? Of course they do. Do they tell us that it's unhealthy for us? Yes, they do. But we're the proof in the pudding, right? We all had grandparents and great-grandparents, and we're still alive. So, and then with Robin Hood, like we already talked about, there are those who make it appear that somebody is doing something for our own good. We're not supposed to trust those people because we've already had it ingrained in us to some degree that if it doesn't come from those in power, if you're not hearing it on the mainstream media, if you're not hearing it, it's not true. the person is actually very dangerous. And then here with For Love of the Game, that's what it is to them. It is a game. They enjoy implanting things in our brains. They very much enjoy convincing us that this is, and it's a huge plan, allegedly, and goes back a long, long way. So one of the things that we probably should do, take a look at everything that is being thrown at us on a regular basis and don't let it get us. Release it like right away. Like we've been releasing all those things from, our childhood and our teenage years and our shadow side and our light side and so forth. So let's see what else. Okay, let's see what else Tarot has to share here. So all this time they've been seeding a lot of things and sending a lot of artificial thoughts. And they have their following for sure. Okay. Knight of Wands with signs. Yeah, this is one of their active passions. They really like to push the alien invasion agenda. And they'll do it for a little while, and then it goes away for a little while. Then it comes back again. Then we have King of Wands. Yes, this is the person on the throne, one of those in power, or the many in power. This is, again, one of their passions. Trust us. We'll care for you. Lean on me. Yeah, that's one of those games. Four of Wands. If you want to have a happy home, this is what you need to do. If you want to be healthy and happy and structured, this is what you need to do. The High Priestess. Yeah, there's a lot of things, a lot of secrets that they don't really want us to know about living off the land, about healing ourselves, about eating good food that we grow ourselves. That has been frowned upon and has been, oh, well, you don't want to use that archaic way of healing because you'll die. So many things, so many secrets. Death. Did I hold that? Oh, can't even see it when I do that. Okay, so Death card. And this is a transformation. It is one thing. What one thing is, what something is, isn't ever, it seems like, what they tell you it is. It's always something completely different. One of those secrets here again. So should you choose to believe, you're probably going to be believing the wrong thing, allegedly. And then we have Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, this game can turn any way they want it to. But it can turn any way we want it to, too. Think about that. And we have the Moon. So where the song Little Willie, part of that song is, you can't push Willie round. Try that again. You can't push Willie round. Willie won't go. And this is the Moon card. The card of illusion. Half light. Seeing only half of something. And there's a reason that Willie won't go home. There's a reason that you can't push Willie round. You just don't necessarily know. You see that. You see that you can't push him and that he won't go home, but you really only have half of the information. You're really only seeing half of what's going on. And what we see here, we only see in half light. We don't know all the secrets behind everything that they throw at us like this. And these are all seeded into our brain because, again, they do everything over the top. So they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until it's sunk into our brains in such a way that it's almost impossible not to be in this position. So let us pick up the tarot and see where question 3 takes us. A lot of good information in these cards. They're coming out a little bit different than I expected. All right, so let's get the oracle picked up and move on to question 3. And this, if this is all stuff that you are fully aware of, just the cards letting you know that you're not off your rocker. All right. So number 3, what current technology is being used to quietly influence the population? So they're talking about subtle tools that are being used, not future tech, but what we have currently. So we have Michael, signs again, circle of life again, amazes me. So many cards, but yet we can get the same ones, even though they've been tucked randomly and shuffled and split. And dragonfly. All right, so with Michael, and again the question, what current technology is being used to quietly influence the population? Religion is one of them. There are many ways that religion causes people to lean one way or another. Okay, so that's one of the things. Again, going back to the aliens, other life on other planets, a lot of times they'll bring up, for instance, life on Mars. We found an insect. We'll just use that as an example because we have dragonfly here. But anyway, life on other planets. They try to make it seem very minuscule, or as though the life was destroyed on these other planets because, well, they didn't listen to their powerful people. Okay, just as an example. They use death a lot of times as something against us. They use different kinds of growth. Again, growing your own food, unhealthy. They use things about birth and having children. They have certain drugs for many things when it comes to babies, to being pregnant, to so many things have changed even since I had my children. So they use a lot of the things that we are accustomed to in a completely different way, in a more modern way. As an example, I'm just going to give an example. When our grandparents were having babies, there was no such thing as an epidural, right? No such thing. If there was for me, I didn't know about it. So I had all my 4 kids with nothing for pain. I just had babies just like my grandparents did, just like my parents did. Okay, but my children all had epidurals. Difference being, the epidurals actually, I feel, extended the delivery time for my kids having their kids. So, whereas without any epidural, my labors were 6 hours, or excuse me, 7 hours, 3.5 hours, 1.5 hours, and the very last child was 45 minutes. That's fast labor. So, and my children had much longer labors with their, in fact, I think one was 40 hours, and which that's unbelievable. And she ended up having 2 epidurals because the first one they had done incorrectly. So, yeah, I there are technical things that should never have been messed with. The card says respect nature and honor past generations. So a lot of what they offer now, it's made things harder, not easier. And then with Dragonfly, we're going to put this into the drone category. It's so much easier for the powers that be to watch us, not just through televisions and our phones, and now they can do it from overhead. Yeah, so let's move on. We've got Maltese Falcon. We have Phenomenon. Oh, and isn't that funny? We've got and we have the 39 Steps. John Travolta. I'm like, I know that name. I do. Okay, so yeah, it says here the story is explosive, and everywhere you look, there is some kind of technology that isn't good for us. Isn't, it could be, okay? It can be used, being able to take a mobile phone in the car so that you're never without connection is brilliant. I even came across one where if you don't have service, I think, gosh, I don't even know, if you don't have service, can you change your voicemail? I don't think you can. But anyway, if you're like stuck on the side of the road or something and you are running out of battery and you can't call somebody, you actually can re-record your voicemail to say, my car broke down, I'm here, come and get me, don't have enough power on my phone. So, something like that. There are good things that we have out there. It's just how they're used by the powers that be to make them not such good things for us. The more explosive the story, the more believable they think it is. The one thing I think they're not counting on is the fact that we have powers. They might not be like his on Phenomenon, but we have powers of observation. We have discernment. We have powers of our own that keep us from falling for every little game that is played. And the 39 steps, that just kind of reiterates exactly everything that we've been discussing here. There are powers out there that don't want this information out there to convince anybody to go a different way than what they would like us to. Those people are oftentimes eliminated. That's kind of the whole point of this 39 steps. So let's take tarot and see if we can fill in any blanks. So I'm going to say a lot of the technology is used current technology is used for the purpose of influencing population, and they try to do it quietly sometimes. Otherwise, it's a lot of times just right in your face. All right, so we have the Fool, That's touchy there. And I'm going to say anymore, religion is probably very risky. I'll leave it at that. Page of Pentacles. Yeah, this is the message about Earth. Life on Earth. Signs that we're going to be visited by alien beings. That's what they're telling us. Page of Swords. I think this is kind of like the passing down of the stories, the passing down of the experiences. They don't want those things passed down because they don't want us using anything from the past because it doesn't kill us or it doesn't hurt us or it doesn't make us sick. If we grow our own food, unless it's truly poisoned on purpose by someone or something, and don't think that hasn't happened to some of the larger farmers, yeah, they don't want these stories passed down. And we have the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, they've made drones a thing. I mean, everybody wants to fly a drone, right? Okay, but it doesn't mean that they necessarily want to spy on other people. But this technology definitely requires more than one person. So I'm going to say they have people working with them, and some watching the monitors, some flying the drones, some, calling the shots, etc. It's always a group of people. And then we have the Four of Wands. Yeah, it's always, the explosive stories about how important humanity is to these people that are in power, allegedly. They're always telling us how we can have a better home life, how we can be healthier, how we can take care of ourselves better, how we can have a bigger home, how it's always, they try to make it look as though they have our best interests in mind, and it's obviously not the case. Then we have the Magician. Yeah, a lot of what they put out there is illusion. We know this. We have the same ability that they do. We don't have all the money in the world to, maybe put it forward, but we have our own powers. And we have the ability to manifest those things. We have everything that we need to manifest what we want. Not what they want, but what we want. And then we have the Six of Cups. Yeah, for those who are putting things out there, who are really talking about trying to wake people up and trying to explain a lot of what we are seeing here, they are threatened. Their families are threatened. And then finally, they just aren't allowed to exist anymore if they don't cease and desist. Allegedly. All right, so we're going to pick these up and move on to number 4. And my Chihuahua just came back into my room, so if you happen to hear snoring in the upcoming part of the video, this would be his normal signature when I am recording. Probably any video that you watch on my channel is going to have Chihuahua snoring in it. It's just his part he's adding in. So we're getting these cards put away quick as can be. And moving on then to question 4. There are 6 questions in this video. All right, so question 4. how has mind control shifted the timeline of humanity? And I think it's talking about things that you have noticed, things that we are able to notice, changes that we're able to notice, that we don't remember them being as we're seeing them or hearing them. So we have think. Okay. Now you see me. New direction. Oh, get back up there. And whoops, the Great Escape. Okay, so the question again, how has mind control shifted the timeline of humanity? Think. I'm sorry. Sometimes these cards just choke me right up because they're so on. It's just crazy. Think is just basically use your own brain. It's called discernment. Think before speaking, and when you do speak, speak your truth. This is important. So if you notice something different, something that just doesn't seem quite right, you don't necessarily have to keep it to yourself. But again, think before you act. Think. Pay attention to, well, again, be discerning, but also be smart about how you bring the information across. Now you see me. There's a lot of illusion out there. This is a show about magicians who create a phenomenal show, just an amazing show. And they manage to fool a lot of high-powered people. And the basic premise of this card is the illusion. It's time to start moving in a new direction and escape all of this illusion. The way to do that is to think. Maybe the mind control has not shifted our timeline like we think. Maybe it's just the illusion that's being put across to us. Let's see what else there is. Houdini. Oh, wow. With the Great Escape. Red Dawn. Gorillas in the Mist. Okay, so time to go in a new direction. Escape this, all of the mind control baloney and believing everything that is being told to us. Okay, it's time to get out of this timeline specifically. It'll be not an easy task for sure. We've got Houdini and it's the movie The Grimm Game. So yeah, this has been a tough game and it's time really to start fighting back. Fighting back. Because this is not the life that we really want to live. We would like to live a peaceful life. However, like with Gorillas in the Mist, there's always something in danger. There's always something hurting things that we love or people that we love. There's always something. And in one timeline, we might have no issue with gorillas being poached But in our timeline, this is a problem, which is how this movie came to exist. In a timeline, Houdini didn't die. He didn't, I think he drowned. In another timeline, he didn't. In another timeline, Steve McQueen, who is the star of this movie, never escaped. In another timeline, the magicians didn't win, we'll put it that way, didn't create a good enough illusion. In another timeline, there was no war. So it's what we believe. It's the mind control that is being done to us that says, this is what happened, this is what you have to believe. And they go so far as to put it in every book we read, and you hear it on the news, and you hear, I mean, it just, again, over the top. So let's see what Tarot has to share. Knight of Wands. You have to be passionate about your thoughts. When you're passionate about your thoughts, you might want to move forward really quickly, take risk and do that. But this card here is asking you to think before you act. Think before you move. Even if you feel like you've got it all under control and you're ready, think some more. And then we have Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, all they have to do is plant the seed in our mind. Like the second question there was about seeding memories and thoughts, artificial thoughts into our brains. And it always comes back for me down to the Mandela effect. Makes me wonder if that was a sideline just to make sure we were paying attention to that and not something else. However, there's some things about that. All right, so the Tower. Yeah, we need to go in a new direction. We do. We need to start thinking for ourselves, not believing in all of the illusion and every seed that gets planted in us, but not to rush into action. Think about it first, because rushing into action could end up giving us a tower moment we don't want. What we want is to be able to do this in a manner where we can choose our own direction. And then we have the Four of Wands. Yeah, to escape to a timeline of our choosing, where we want to live, where we want to raise our families, the kind of world we want. Five of Cups. Yeah, Houdini in the Grim Game. Okay, Five of Cups, that's loss. Obviously, Houdini passed on. He drowned, or one of his tricks didn't go quite according to plan, or maybe he was murdered. Depends on what timeline you were in when you were told about Houdini. Maybe Houdini didn't die. At any rate, there's loss here. That's a very emotional loss. Finding out that you've been lied to about a lot of the things that you know, that's going to hit hard. And then we have the Six of Swords. That is, for me, that's peace of mind. When you start getting to the truth, which swords are truth, when you start getting to the truth, I think there's a lot more peace of mind. But being able to get to the truth, that's the tough thing. And then we have Judgment. So I think this is just saying not everybody's going to want to move timelines. Let's say that. Not going to want to move timelines necessarily, because this is the comfortable timeline. This is the, you know what to expect. What's the old saying? Keep your enemies, or keep your friends close and your enemies closer. or it's the devil you know. Well, most of us know what to expect here in this timeline. Now, when we talk about the Mandela effect, okay, that came out many, many years ago, and the one thing that really sticks with me specifically is the Berenstain Bears. I cannot say Berenstain, okay? I just can't, because I had pretty much every one of those books for my children, and we read them nightly. And it was Berenstain Bears, not Berenstain. When I saw that, I was like, what? That is not possible. And the thing of it is it has to be a different timeline that we are going into, or somebody is going back in time and changing things so that they are different, so that the books actually read Berenstain on them. And there is a show, geez, I was watching it too. Maybe it's called Timeless. Timeless. Anyway, in that show, they are going back in time in a pod, and there's one guy specifically that is trying to change time, fix things so that he can get his wife back, who has passed away, his wife and child. And they can go back and they can make changes like what I'm talking about and come back and have it changed in this reality. What they can't seem to get control of is what else it changes. Even one small change like that could change multiple things. So we are picking up the cards here and moving on to question 5. All right. Question 5. Is there a resistance or counterforce trying to break the control, the mind control? And I don't know if they're talking human. I don't know if they're talking otherworldly, heavenly. We will find out. Oh, can't pick that up. There we go. We have the Princess Bride. We have no. Big no. We have Dragonfly. And we have 1. Okay, so question again, is there a resistance or counterforce trying to break the control? First off, this is a card about true love. So whoever is attempting to help us truly loves us, okay? And when it says no here, it may not be, the question may not be proper. It might be saying that no, they're not trying to break the control. So it might be something else. With Dragonfly, this is a spiritual card. So I'm going to suggest here that it is angels, it's our spirit guides, it's otherworldly beings, it's something or someone we cannot really see or talk to. At least most of us. And I feel like they're putting us in the spotlight. Each one of us individually, we all have spirit guides that we come in with. One specific one that stays with us from death, or from birth to death. And I feel like they are putting us in the spotlight at certain times, and we had the divine timing card at one point. We have Independence Day, yes, and telling us that it is time to be independent of. We have Unconquered, and to be unconquered, and bringing up baby, and to raise our children that way. So they are trying to not necessarily control or break the control in a, we're going to break this timeline and start a new one. No. They have to work with us because this is our timeline. They have to work with us one-on-one and perhaps teach us specific lessons that they can't do any other way. Maybe they're painful lessons. We know with Independence Day, to gain their independence, they lost a lot of fighters. So it can be a painful lesson, yes. However, we can be unconquered and we can have the freedom then to raise our children the way that we wish to raise our children. All right, so let's see what Tarot has to share. And yeah, that no is, they're not a resistance. They are just, they love us. They're here to help. Two of Pentacles. Yeah, that's one of those. Do we help them or don't we help them? We love them so much, but do we help them or don't we help them? Because it seems like they've made a real mess of life. They have every right to say that or to feel that. Queen of Swords. Yeah, so we got that right. We did. That's a truth card right there. Queen of Cups. Yeah, these are those who very much love us, care for us, nurture us, help us with our intuition. These are very spiritual beings that we are working with. Seven of Wands. Yeah, they're trying to teach us how to defend ourselves, how to defend what we believe in. The Moon. We will find ourselves independent when we stop believing in every illusion that's sent our way. Page of Pentacles. This is just the message to say it's your life. You can be unconquered. Stop believing in all this illusion. And then Six of Swords. That's the peace of mind card. That is the one that says, you break out of this, you can raise your children whatever way you want, and that is the way that will give you the peace of mind. There will be no interference from anyone. So let us pick up these cards again and move on to the last question of this episode. Oh, almost lost it. Okay. So yeah, it's nice to know that we're not doing everything alone. For sure. We do have help beyond the veil. We might not actually see them, but sometimes we can hear them speaking to us. Some people perhaps can see. All right, so the last question here. What part of the mind remains untouched, and why does it matter? So we're looking for what is pure within us, within humans, that is unreachable and is the key to reclaiming our power of thought, our thought power. So we have barrier. for love of the game. Birdman of Alcatraz. And Hidalgo. What part of the mind remains untouched and why does it matter? Well, there's obviously a barrier of some sort around some part of our mind that they can't reach. Clear the mechanism. They cannot get in there for anything. And here we've got Birdman from Alcatraz. He's behind bars, right? So there is something within our mind that kind of maybe resembles a bird. I'm just throwing things out there. Resembles a bird that has the ability to move from place to place in the brain where they just can't grab it. Okay? It can't be touched. In the movie Hidalgo, this is a relationship between man and horse that cannot be separated. So, and there's so much more to this movie. It is such a phenomenal movie. If you have not seen it, this is so worth watching, okay? They can't be separated. They're locked together. In mutual respect. It isn't a I own you horse. It is the horse saying, I trust you enough to let you ride me and to take me places and to do things with me, but you don't own me. Okay, so it's a relationship that cannot be separated. So whatever this is within our mind, it cannot be removed from our brains. The birds, there it is again. What a feeling. And reinvention. Okay, so yeah, if they were to try to remove this to gain more control, it would be this huge nightmare for us. As it stands, this particular piece within the brain, and it says on the card, own your power. It gives us power. It gives us passion. It gives us absolutely wonderful feelings. Is it the pineal gland? I don't know if that can be removed. I don't know if it's behind something that, if you tried to remove it, you'd kind of defeat the purpose of trying to gain control over a person because you'd end up killing them. I don't know. I know that it is said with the pineal gland that they can calcify it so that it's not working the way that it's supposed to. And that's done with food and with the air we breathe and so many different things, stuff in the water, so on and so forth. So somebody reinvented this piece. Not exactly sure what that means. Reinvented this piece. Maybe it was vulnerable at one point in time. Free like the birds, these birds, but then not. Which made it impossible for anyone to touch. So let us see what tarot has to say. So we've got the Five of Pentacles. Yeah, this barrier is, to some people, is something that is a bad thing, or they believe it to be a bad thing. Maybe that's the powers, the powers that be, who believe it's a bad thing. It's a barrier in their way from controlling and making life totally miserable for humanity. And then we have the Emperor. Yeah, they want so badly to get into there. They don't want us, they want, an emperor is somebody who rules the land. If there's kings, he rules all of them. He rules the people on his land. He sits on his throne and designates to those he can designate to. King, you have this land. King, you have this land. They want to be able to rule everyone, but they cannot get into that cleared mechanism to make it completely impossible for a person not to be able to think. Three of Swords. This mechanism, and I know that this card for most people is betrayal and deceit, but for me it is growth of the mind. So this allows the mind to grow and think for itself. Swords is the suit of thinking and communication, speaking the truth. Ace of Wands. Yes, this passion. Between these two parts, these two people, the horse and the man, that it cannot be separated. Because of that, the energy is, the potential of that energy is unlimited. We don't know what it can actually do, how much it can do. Five of Cups. Yeah, this is definitely emotional loss. If they would try to remove whatever this is or even find it, there would be a lot of death, I think. So they would be defeating their purpose of trying to control, because if everyone's passed on, there's nobody to control, right? And then we have the Page of Swords. This is the ultimate student. It is what makes us question the things that don't feel right. It is being one of those people to be able to actually do that even now, to own your own power and to question what doesn't feel normal, what doesn't feel right. This piece, whatever it is in the brain, or maybe it's our subconscious, I don't know, it's something that cannot be separated from our mind. And then we have the Chariot. So the reinvention by Source was done very, very quickly, because we were losing power. We were losing our power. And now we have strength. We have the ability to move forward. We can withstand a lot of the things that are being thrown at us. Some are a little slower at it than others, but it is happening. Okay, so that is it for this Fringe-inspired episode 6. Giving you a teaser here for episode 7. Next time, we follow the soul and what happens when it no longer belongs to the body it inhabits. Fringe-inspired and deeply unsettling, we're asking, what if someone or something is already swapping souls in secret and no one can tell the difference? There's your teaser for next week. On the screen also is the show schedule showing you all 3 shows that I do each week. Hopefully you'll find another one that you enjoy, or maybe all of them that you enjoy. So that is it. Thank you so much for being a part of my show, part of this channel, for supporting this channel by watching. Hopefully you've made it all the way to the end. And please, if you like this channel, please like and subscribe and share it, because that spreads it too. And most important here, please comment. Let me know what you saw in the cards. Share with me what you think about this reading. That would be awesome. So until next week, have a great one. Take care.